Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the Taming of the Shrew, and we get to hear from Biondello today in what some versions call Act 3, Scene 2. Shakespeare just had an Act 3 and didn't split up the scenes in there. And what's fun is where other people put the scene breaks is different from, or where even the act breaks, where other people put the act breaks is different from where Shakespeare did. But anyway, we're in Act 3, sort of, and it is wedding day for Catherine and Petruchio. And Catherine is really not thrilled about this. And she is even less thrilled because Petruchio hasn't shown up. Like, this whole thing was his idea. She doesn't want to marry him, and now he's standing her up at the altar. So yesterday we got to hear from her, and she's very upset. She's very embarrassed, and she, like, goes inside to cry or goes into another room to cry, or some such thing. And Baptista does sympathize at this point because it's also humiliating for him if he can't marry off his daughter. But then Biondello shows up with a message, and they're like, well, is Petruchio coming? Is he on his way here? Like, where is he? Do you know? And of course, there's a lot of, like, misunderstanding of words and that sort of thing. They're like, where is Petruchio? And Biondello says, well, Petruchio is coming in a new hat and an old jerkin, a pair of old breeches thrice turned, a pair of boots that have been candle cases, one buckled, another laced, an old rusty sword taken out of the town armory with a broken hilt and shapeless, with 2 broken points. His horse, hipped with an old mothy saddle and stirrups of no kindred, besides possessed with the glanders and like to mose in the chine, troubled with the lampus, infected with the fashions, full of windigals, sped with spavins, rayed with the yellows, past cure of the fives, stark spoiled with the staggers, benon with the bots, weighed in the back and shoulder-shotten, near-legged before, and with a half-checked bit and headstall of sheep's leather, which, being restrained to keep him from stumbling, hath been often burst, and now repaired with knots. One girth 6 times pieced, and a woman's crupper of velour, which hath 2 letters for her name, fairly set down in studs, and here and there pieced with packthread. So, Petruchio isn't exactly dressed for a wedding, is what Biondello is saying here. He's saying Petruchio, the only thing about Petruchio that's in good shape right now is maybe his hat. Like, it's a new hat. But he's wearing old garments that are mismatched and are falling apart, and he's coming in riding on a horse that is literally on its last legs. This horse has a stomach disease and jaundice and is bow-legged in the front and knock-kneed in the back, or vice versa. Biondello is like, this horse is probably going to fall over and die, like, today. It's really not in good shape. And even the saddle, like the bit in the horse's mouth, because they pulled on it so many times, has come apart and they just tie it back together. And the saddle on the horse has some woman's monogrammed initials on it. So Petruchio is really not dressed for a wedding. And everybody else is like, what? Seriously? He can't? And Petruchio shows up looking like crap. And Baptista's like, you're not marrying my daughter dressed like that. Like, let's go get you some actual clothes to wear. You're not marrying my daughter like that. And Petruchio's like, yeah, I am. She's marrying me, not my clothes. So where is she? She's late. She should be here. And he goes off to find her, to, like, try to marry her. And everybody else is like, wait, what? So Baptista goes after him to try to get him to put on something decent. Meanwhile, Tranio has filled in Lucentio to the fact that Tranio sort of won the right to marry Bianca, but he has to prove that he has all of the stuff that he promised that he would give her in order to take care of her. So they need to find somebody to play the part of the dad of Lucentio's father. So Lucentio's like, we got to go find a dad real quick. And then Gremio enters with some other people, and some versions turn that into Act 3, Scene 3, whereas others keep it as Act 3, Scene 2. But that's as good a place to stop as any, because tomorrow we get to hear from Gremio and why he came back into the scene? What information does he have to impart to us? So we will hear about that on tomorrow's episode. I will see you then. Mwah.